10 countries closing doors on Americans in 2025. Ah, the dream. Packing it all up, saying aloha to the daily grind and bonjour to a beach bungalow in Bali. You, a coconut in hand, living that sweet, sweet expat life. Well, if you're an American with a passport full of dreams and a head full of Mai Tais, I'm afraid I've got some news. And it's about as pleasant as a lidocaine-free root canal. Because in 2025, the welcome mat, it's being rolled up, folks. And not just by countries with famously strict immigration policies. Oh no, we're talking about places that were once practically synonymous with American retiree, where you could practically smell the banana pancakes and sunscreen from the visa office. Living costs are going through the roof globally. Visas are getting tighter than a pair of skinny jeans after Thanksgiving dinner, and don't even get me started on the locals. Let's just say the honeymoon phase for long-term tourists is officially OVER. So, before you book that one-way ticket and buy a "This is my retirement shirt" tank top, hit that subscribe button because things are about to get real. First up, we're heading to the land of smiles, where the smiles are starting to look a little strained, especially when they see your American passport. Thailand, once a haven for digital nomads and retirees alike, is tightening the screws on its visa requirements. Forget about rocking up with a backpack and a dream. They're now demanding proof of funds that would make even a Wall Street banker sweat. We're talking bank statements, income requirements, the whole shebang. It's like they want you to prove you can actually afford to enjoy their country. The audacity, and don't even think about overstaying your welcome on a tourist visa. Those days are long gone, my friend. You'll be slapped with fines that could fund your own personal pad thai buffet for a year. And good luck trying to sweet-talk your way out of it. But here's the real kicker. Even if you jump through all the hoops, there's a growing sentiment among locals that they've had enough. They're tired of their neighborhoods turning into American enclaves, and they're not afraid to say it. So while Thailand's beaches are still as beautiful as ever, the welcome may not be as warm. Think twice before you pack your bags and brush up on your tie, because you might just need it to plead your case. Next, we sail on over to Portugal, a country that was practically begging wealthy foreigners to move in with its golden visa program. You buy a house, you get a visa, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Well, hold on to your Vinho Verde because the party's over. Portugal is slamming the door shut on its golden visa program, citing concerns about rising housing costs and, let's be honest, a touch of buyer's remorse. It seems like they've realized that selling off chunks of their country to the highest bidder wasn't the best long-term strategy. But it's not just the golden visa that's getting the axe. They're tightening the screws on all residency visas, making it about as easy to get into as a Fort Knox vault combination. And don't even get me started on the bureaucracy. Let's just say that Portuguese love their paperwork more than a cat loves a laser pointer. So if you were dreaming of sipping port wine in a charming Lisbon cafe, you might want to start learning Portuguese, because you'll need to brush up on your legal arguments to stand a chance. Now let's mosey on down to Mexico, our friendly neighbor to the south. It used to be you could practically roll your suitcase across the border and set up shop indefinitely, but those days are gone, my friend. Gone like your chances of finding decent guacamole in a tourist trap. Mexico is putting its foot down, limiting tourist visas to a measly 180 days. That's right, 6 months. Just enough time to perfect your tan, your margarita recipe, and your Spanish curse words. After that, you're out of luck, amigo. And if you're thinking about sticking around longer, well, get ready to open your wallet wider than a Tijuana donkey show promoter. They're jacking up the financial requirements for residency, and unless you've got a trust fund bigger than the Gulf of Mexico, you might want to start looking elsewhere. But here's the real kicker. The locals are fed up. They're tired of being priced out of their own neighborhoods, tired of seeing their culture overrun by tourists, and they're not afraid to let you know it. So before you pack your bags and head south of the border, remember, Mexico is no longer the land of endless sunshine and cheap margaritas. It's a country reclaiming its identity, and they're not afraid to send you packing if you don't play by their rules. Ah, Bali, the land of yoga retreats, smoothie bowls, and Instagram influencers trying to convince you they're spiritual gurus. But hold on to your coconut water, because paradise just got a whole lot harder to afford. Bali, and Indonesia as a whole, is cracking down on foreigners looking for an endless summer. They're tightening visa requirements, raising the financial bar for residency, and generally making it clear that they're not interested in becoming the world's largest co-working space. Digital nomads, you've been warned, those laptops and lattes aren't as welcome as they used to be. Indonesia is onto your game, and they're not afraid to tax those online earnings. That's right, they're proposing a digital nomad tax, which is a polite way of saying if you're going to work from our beaches, you're going to pay for the privilege. And don't even get me started on the short-term rentals. Bali is cracking down on Airbnb and its ilk, so finding a cheap place to crash is about as likely as finding a sober sorority girl during spring break. So if you're dreaming of finding yourself in Bali, you might want to pack a hefty bank account and a healthy dose of reality. Next up, we're hopping over to Spain, the land of paella flamenco, and apparently a whole lot of bureaucracy. Because if you're an American dreaming of a Spanish sojourn, get ready to navigate a labyrinth of paperwork that would make even a seasoned tax attorney break a sweat. Spain is raising the income requirements for their non-lucrative visas, which is a fancy way of saying if you're not planning on making us money, you better come loaded. And don't even think about working on the sly, because the Spanish authorities have more eyes than a plate of patatas bravas. But it's not just the visas that are getting tighter than a flamenco dancer's dress. They're also cracking down on property ownership for foreigners, making it about as easy to buy a villa in Marbella as it is to win the lottery while being simultaneously struck by lightning. And don't even get me started on the short-term rentals. Barcelona, once a haven for Airbnb enthusiasts, is now cracking down harder than a matador on a bull. So unless you're planning on bunking up with a herd of bulls, you might want to rethink that Spanish siesta. Italy, the land of pasta, pizza, and, unfortunately, a growing skepticism towards American dreamers. That's right, folks, the boot is dropping on easy living in Italy. If you're picturing yourself sipping Chianti in a Tuscan vineyard, I hate to break it to you, but you might need to switch to boxed wine. Italy is making it clear that La Dolce Vita comes with a hefty price tag. They're tightening visa requirements, making it about as easy to get into as a secret society of pasta makers. And if you do manage to snag a visa, get ready to shell out some serious dough. They're increasing financial requirements for residency, so unless you've got a bank account that rivals the Medici family, you might want to stick to Olive Garden. And don't even get me started on the locals. They're tired of seeing their cities overrun by tourists, their housing prices skyrocketing, and their culture slowly being replaced by selfie sticks and fanny packs. So while Italy might still be the land of romance, it's not exactly a love affair for foreigners anymore. Think twice before you pack your bags and brush up on your Italian, because you might just need it to plead your case. Next, we set sail for Greece, the land of ancient ruins, crystal clear waters, and a newfound aversion to handing out free passes. That's right, folks, Greece is saying antio to its golden visa program. Seems like giving away residency in exchange for a real estate investment isn't all it's cracked up to be. Who knew? But don't worry, they're not just closing the door on the wealthy. They're also making it harder for everyone else to slip through the cracks. Visa requirements are tighter than a toga party after a few too many ouzos, and the financial requirements for residency will have you wishing you'd paid more attention in economics class. And even if you do manage to jump through all the hoops, don't expect a warm welcome from the locals. They're tired of seeing their neighborhoods overrun by tourists, their housing prices skyrocketing, and their culture slowly being replaced by selfie sticks and souvenir shops. So, while Greece might still be the cradle of civilization, it's not exactly rocking the cradle for foreigners anymore. Think twice before you book that flight and brush up on your Greek, because you might just need it to plead your case. Chapter 8, Vietnam. From backpacker haven to backpack right on out of here. Now, let's venture to Vietnam, a country that was once synonymous with adventure, affordability, and, let's be honest, a certain anything-goes attitude. Well, hold on to your conical hats, because things are changing faster than you can say fo. Vietnam is tightening its visa policies like a python around a particularly plump rodent. Those days of rocking up with a backpack and a fistful of dollars are long gone. Now you'll need a visa, a plan, and a bank account that proves you're not planning on busking for dong. And speaking of dong, get ready to shell out more of it if you're planning on sticking around. Vietnam is raising the financial requirements for long-term stays. So unless you've got a nest egg that would make a dragon jealous, you might want to start looking elsewhere. But it's not just the money, it's the vibe. Locals are starting to feel the strain of over-tourism. They're tired of seeing their culture Disneyfied, their streets overrun by selfie sticks and their favorite faux spots overrun by foreigners who think sriracha is a food group. So while Vietnam is still a beautiful and fascinating country, it's not exactly rolling out the red carpet for foreigners anymore. Think twice before you pack your bags and brush up on your Vietnamese, because you might just need it to politely ask for directions back to the airport. Chapter 9, Costa Rica, Pura Vida, more like Pura Visa problems. Next, we're heading to Costa Rica, a country that was once synonymous with ecotourism, laid-back vibes, and the ever-present mantra of Pura Vida. Well, hold on to your surfboards, because the waves of change are crashing down on this Central American paradise. Costa Rica, it seems, has discovered that Pura Vida doesn't pay the bills. They're tightening visa requirements, like a sloth clinging to a branch in a hurricane. Those days of strolling in with a backpack and a dream are long gone. Now, you'll need a visa, a plan, and a bank account that proves you can afford more than just rice and beans. And, speaking of affordability, get ready to shell out some serious colognes if you're planning on sticking around. Costa Rica is raising the financial requirements for residency, so unless you've got a nest egg that would make a howler monkey jealous, you might want to start looking elsewhere. But it's not just about the money, it's about the vibe. Locals are starting to feel the strain of over-tourism. They're tired of seeing their beaches overrun by yoga retreats, their rainforests trampled by selfie sticks, and their favorite surf breaks crowded with more gringos than a Jimmy Buffett concert. So, while Costa Rica is still a beautiful and biodiverse country, it's not exactly handing out Pura Vida starter kits anymore. Think twice before you book that flight and brush up on your Spanish, because you might just need it to politely ask for directions back to the airport. Chapter 10. Philippines. More than just a paradise lost, it's a wake-up call. Finally, we land in the Philippines, a nation of stunning islands, warm people, and a history as rich and complex as its traditional adobo recipe. It's a place where many Americans have sought a slice of paradise, but even this tropical haven is beginning to say, hang on a minute. The Philippines, like many countries on our list, is experiencing a perfect storm: the global cost of living crisis, a surge in post-pandemic tourism, and a growing awareness among locals that their slice of paradise deserves to be protected. This translates to tighter visa policies, stricter financial requirements for long-term stays, and a noticeable shift in local sentiment. The days of rocking up with a smile, a song, and a fistful of dollars are fading faster than a Boracay sunset. The message is clear: the Philippines welcomes visitors, but it's no longer content being seen as just a playground for expats. They're tightening the reins, prioritizing sustainable tourism, and focusing on preserving their unique culture and way of life. This isn't just about paperwork and financial hurdles, it's a reflection of a global shift where countries are re-evaluating their relationship with tourism and prioritizing the needs of their own citizens. Outro: the future of travel. It's not just about the destination, it's about respect. So there you have it. The world in 2025 is not the wide-open, welcome-to-all playground it once was. The days of rocking up to a foreign country with nothing but a backpack and a dream are fading faster than your tan lines. But this isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's a wake-up call. A reminder that travel is a privilege, not a right, and with that privilege comes a responsibility to be respectful, to be mindful, and to be prepared. So, if you're dreaming of a life abroad, don't let this discourage you. Just be smart. Do your research, pack your patience, and most importantly, remember that the world is not your oyster. It's a shared space, and we all have a responsibility to treat it that way. Safe travels, everyone.